You tell a story. He does too. Can he one up you? Well, that's up to you. Tell your best tale and you never know. You could be a winner on the One Upper Show.
Okay, and welcome back to the One Upper. I'm your host, Ted Blazak. We're again on a lovely early June Wednesday in downtown Coeur d'Alene at the Farmers Market. And this lovely lady has come by and said she would share a story because it's a story it's a good story that needs to be heard, right? Or should be heard.
It is a very good story that needs to be heard.
Okay.
A very good story, yes.
You want to go very close. To the
Okay.
mic. And what's your name?
My name's Dana,
And where are you from?
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Coeur d'Alene. And your story's a local story, is that right?
It is a local story.
Okay, great. I don't really know anything about it, but I love when we get local stories when we come to different places. So, please, the sound of motorcycles.
Oh, yeah.
So please share your story with us.
Okay. It's a sad but happy ending story.
Okay, good.
So it started actually a week ago today,
Uh-huh.
about this time.
Oh, okay.
My husband and I had just taken our boat out for a maiden voyage for the summer.
Oh, okay.
Out on Lake Coeur d'Alene, and got back, and we had to stop at the local Safeway right up the street on 4th Street.
Uh-huh.
And I stayed in the car because I was working on something, and my husband ran in for one item.
Uh-huh.
I realized about 10 minutes later he was not out, and it was not very busy.
So you're in the car waiting for your husband to come out. He's getting
Correct.
something before your boat ride, and he's going.
After our boat ride.
Oh, after your boat ride. So
After.
you've had a full day and you're headed home.
Correct.
And but he hasn't come back in 10 minutes.
That's right.
So suddenly you suspect something.
So I said either something has happened because the parking lot was not very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So as I took the keys and started walking in, the fire truck pulled up.
Oh no.
So when I first, and my husband is also retired healthcare provider here in
Uh-huh.
our community, 40 years, and I said it's either him or he's helping somebody.
Okay, I'm hoping it's the latter.
Yes. So I went in, and it was him who
Oh.
was the patient, but there was a local three, I guess you would say, local people, patrons in the store. Actually helped him. They
Oh.
were the first ones there. They started CPR.
They knew CPR.
They did not. One of them did not know CPR. His name was Daniel.
Yeah.
And he got a quick tutorial by a young gentleman named Adam who worked in the store.
And Adam knew CPR.
Yes, he was a lifeguard in his younger days. He
Oh.
wasn't very old.
Yeah.
Adam was maybe 20.
And was he the lead guy of
I don't know who was leading, but they did CPR, and as I came in, the fire department came in with me, and I said, that's my husband, and they did full CPR on my husband and ACLS protocols, which is advanced cardiac life support, and brought him to the hospital. He is alive and well.
Thank goodness.
The story
very happy.
ends very well, which
Yes.
is unusual because those scenarios don't usually end like that, especially outside a hospital setting.
Oh, they don't.
No, they
Oh.
don't. But
Oh.
there is a very small percentage, I want to say maybe 1 to 10% that you can help.
Yeah.
And he was one of the lucky ones. And for those people who helped, I don't think he'd be here today.
So we want to thank those people from the bottom of our hearts.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Though that's, I'm so happy your husband's okay. Is he home?
He is. He got home 2 days ago, which is a
Okay.
miracle in itself.
Yes.
A few broken ribs later.
May I inquire what happened to him?
He had what they call a ventricular fibrillation, where the heart just suddenly stops.
Oh,
Just
really?
Quivers. It's a quiver. That's a lethal rhythm.
And what did it? Is it shocking news to you, or was there a condition where you knew this might
He
occur?
had a heart condition, but we never expected that to happen.
Yeah.
So
and
my thing is I just feel really blessed that the community stepped up.
so I wanna ask you about that. So when you were an emergency room nurse for more than 2 decades.
Correct.
So you have a lot of rare real life experience.
Exactly.
And is it that if more of us knew CPR and were trained, that more people would survive? Is that the issue, or is it that usually people have a condition where it doesn't matter
No,
whether?
that is exactly correct.
Oh, it
More
is.
people need to step up and learn CPR.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel, who did not know it, is now going to sign up for
Oh,
a
good.
course and
Yeah.
how to use an AED, which is the automated external defibrillator that you would put on somebody with no heartbeat.
Ooh, gosh.
So, yes. Exactly.
Okay. That's just wonderful. And what are the names of the great citizens who came to your husband's?
They're, Daniel,
Uh-huh.
Adam,
Uh-huh.
LaDonna, I believe is her name, LaDonna.
Yeah.
And Teresa was a store clerk that was in there, and they were all wonderful. I have not only met Adam and Teresa. I have not
Uh-huh.
met Daniel or LaDonna.
And they're just and 2 of them were patrons, and the other 2 worked at this store. And where's the store?
One was
I'm sorry.
maybe 2 were a patron. I
I'm
think,
sorry.
and 2 worked at the store.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they were just in line behind my husband.
Oh, I see. And so he's checking out when
He
this
was
happened.
checking out.
Oh, and then with this event, it just comes all of a sudden, and he just collapses.
He just collapsed right there where he was standing. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to interject before we go any further and say, when I was a kid, 7th grade health class, they taught us LCPR. My daughter was a lifeguard, and I need a refresher for sure because it's been more than 4 decades.
Yeah.
I really do. I especially don't know how to use a defibrillator, but my daughter does. And so for all of you at home, the American Red Cross offers free CPR training. Very easy to go to the webpage and schedule yourself to get this type of training that saves lives.
And there's proof that it does save lives.
Yes. So, well, and how's your husband right now? Is he like watching TV and feeling okay?
He is all in his right mind, which is the
Okay.
most important.
Yes.
He can think and talk and
Yes.
move around very slowly, but he's doing very well.
Good. I'm so
Yes.
happy to hear that.
So,
Okay. So normally this is a lighthearted little podcast.
I know.
Yes. Most of our people say, "You won't believe how drunk I got," and something like that. So let me see if I can one up you. I think I can.
Okay.
Okay. I got a story. Okay. All right.
Let's hear it.
So, my dad was a great guy, and he was when he was a young man. When I was only like a little baby, he wanted to be a state trooper, and he went through like 5 or 6 months of the boot camp, and he was like first in his class on all the academic stuff, and like third on all the physical stuff, and this was his life dream to become a trooper, and but he's colorblind, and he hit it so well until he didn't, and then so they tossed him out, and he was really bummed about this. But so he went on to become do auxiliary police and auxiliary paramedic stuff.
Okay.
So he went through a whole lot of first aid training and stuff like that.
Sure.
And my stepmother was an emergency room night nurse in Holyoke, Massachusetts, which is not the nicest city in the world, or it wasn't in the 70s. And she had amazing stories of crazy patients that would come in.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they both have this training. I'm at my father's. At this point, they had just married and they were living in this very big, tall, old, beautiful apartment complex. And I'm watching Saturday morning cartoons with my dad. And all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door. And it's a lady. And she says, I'm coming to visit my father. He's next door. And I keep knocking on the door and he's not answering. I'm worried. What do I do? And my father, he just gets up right away. He goes, knocks on the door. He yells. He pounds on the door. He's familiar with the man. And he doesn't say anything. He just like back up and then he boom, kicks the door in. And I'm 5 years old and I'm watching this from our front door. And I'm just astonished that my dad is a superhuman. And then he runs in, he finds a guy collapsed on the floor, and he does CPR for 5 minutes while the woman comes in and uses our phone, and then all the paramedics come up, and he lives. He lives. But he was very old and not for too much longer, but he survived this moment. So I got to see my dad be that person.
That's great.
And yeah. So, but you definitely get a T-shirt, and I'm so happy that you came to share this story because it's a great story.
Yes, and I think a lot of times people stand around and they videotape something happening
Right.
and don't take action when
Right.
that's a true life,
Yes.
threatening moment there. Someone
Yes.
is dying that
Yes.
needs to be helped. So
Yeah. That that always frustrates me when I see 2 people doing something and 20 people videotaping it.
I
What
agree.
an odd world we live in.
right.
Yeah, but I'm so happy for you and your husband. And what was the name of that store he was in? Just so
Safeway.
Safeway.
On 4th Street.
Shout out to Safeway on 4th Street in Coeur d'Alene. And one of the beautiful things about you coming on the air to share this story is it does give us an opportunity to point out something that we can all do, which is learn CPR.
Right.
It's not that hard, right?
No, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It'll take you a few hours out of your time to learn it. That's right.
Right on.
That's right.
All right. Well,
Well,
thank you for being on the show.
thank you.
And before you go, listeners, if you have a similar story or can help us to also spread this message a little about the need for first aid knowledge, we love to hear your story. So please email your story. Try to one-up us. Get yourself a T-shirt. We're at the oneupper.show@gmail.com. You can see us at the oneuppershow.com. Follow all our social media links. Share us on Instagram and Facebook. And until we meet again, keep those good stories coming.
Thank you.
The One Upper Show is brought to you by Trailblazing Canvassers and the Burning Sage Productions.